You ready? You're listening to the Real Pineapple Podcast Network. This is the Real Pineapple. This is your humble host, Hunter here. As you heard from me attempting to pronounce these names, I've got Reza, Joshua, and uh,
Call me Toki.
and thank you here tonight. Didn't want to push my luck. How are you? How are the three of you doing tonight?
Doing great. Just woke up a couple hours ago, actually.
Okay, so actually I was gonna ask about that. So like, yeah, where is are you East Coast, West Coast? Are you international? Is anyone international or?
So I'm in Tokyo right now.
Oh shoot, okay.
Yeah, I'm in Tokyo as well, and it's like 9 something a.m. now. So good
Oh,
morning.
okay. Okay, so yeah, all over the place. All right. Well, Joshua, first question is going to be for you. Um, so I watched the film earlier, really enjoyed it. I have to ask, how do you go about, since this is your feature film debut, what was the
Mhm.
difference in process like from preparing like one of the shorts that you've done as opposed to going to, okay, I need to make this a feature? Was your writing process different? Did you prepare differently? Yeah, how did you kind of approach this?
Honestly, I don't know if I approached it much differently from a short. I even when I work on a short, I'm very regimented. I wake up at 4 in the morning. I have a certain number of pages I have to write per day. I have like, I think everybody on the team just knows I'm very kind of structured when it comes to that. And for this, honestly, it was more of the question of because I'd be shooting more days because we shot this over 7 days, which isn't a lot, but it is more
Wow.
than what a
Okay.
short would normally take. So my biggest worry going into it and planning was, oh, if we make a mistake and we lose one of these days, if it rains too much, if something happens, what happens for the whole production? So that was my biggest thing, was really planning ahead for that and trying to structure my production to get around that. So that was the toughest thing about between a short and a feature was a little bit more prep in order to, more things could go wrong.
I mean, so 7 days that's a hell of a quick shoot. Like that, like you just saying that, that actually kind of made my hand twitch. So what was the biggest challenge in terms of shooting in such a short amount of time?
Um, I don't know because even our days weren't super packed. It wasn't like we weren't shooting for 20-hour days or anything. I think I know Reza, we shot a Saturday and we wrapped on a Friday afternoon, and Reza was leaving for France for an acting gig
Oh,
that
nice.
Saturday morning. Yeah, so it was, we were running into a situation if we were to miss a scene that he wouldn't be able to shoot that if we had to extend it by a day or two. So it was very much, that was really the process. The 7 day was, hey, these are the scenes we're shooting today. If something happens, then we need to rework the scene in order to get that scene done because there was no swapping and changing things.
Were there any scenes that you had to kind of leave on the cutting room floor in order to hit your time restraints, or were you able to get in
No,
everything that you're okay? Nice.
yeah, I think we shot everything. I think I extended, there's the izakaya scene. I added an hour to the rental. I think that was the biggest thing. Some days I think we finished maybe even a little bit earlier and we'd, eat a kebab, do something, we'd talk. Yeah, it started as the production was going on. I think we kind of felt confident that we had a movie. And so, we'd take a little bit longer lunch or dinner and everybody talking and hanging out and really just for me, just making sure I'm staying focused and keeping key members of my team focused so that we can get right back into filming the scenes when we got to it.
Nice. Reza, question for you, sir. So your character Sam, not to spoil too much, but they get hit with a an uppercut, like pretty much as soon as they land, which just filled me with such rage. What what you had to go through. I was oh my God. Um, Talk to me about kind of the peaks and valleys of your character and like how do you get into those emotional spaces? Because you're going from like such a huge life altering potential thing that happens early on to feeling more potentially like hopeful and whimsical through things that you go through, and then trying to kind of reconcile all these things within a night. Like, so, like, how did you go about playing Sam in terms of conveying all those emotions?
Uh, you're right, man. I mean, that uppercut, could you believe it? Every
Yeah.
time we would screen it in theaters, we would just hear like really loud. That's but in terms of acting, well, there are some things you can do like emotional preparation, especially before the cuts, when we cut or before the scene starts. So um, I would probably use yeah, I used those kind of techniques, but in general, um, I think it was just reacting to Tokiko because she's such a natural actor, and Josh's writing and the way he kind of gave us freedom as actors just made it easy for us to, um, act. So yeah, I think Sam didn't deserve that for sure.
Yeah, to put it mildly. You have the scene where you're talking about um eating something off of the ground in New York, and that was a scene that made me laugh, but also audibly like oh God. Um uh, that scene really got me. So Josh, credit to your writing on that. Um, was that the most fun scene to shoot? Like you and Tokyo's like back and forth from that scene or
Yeah, I mean, eating kebabs, and to be honest, that kebab was so good, man. I
Yeah,
mean,
that's mhm.
we were all just eating, and we were hungry too, so we were just like eating
Yeah,
and eating. It was so good.
yeah,
So yeah,
that's
but
Joshua's recommended.
yeah, yeah. And I think Joshua might have something to say on that. I don't know. Let's see.
Yeah, that's semi based on a real thing.
is okay,
Um,
please do tell.
yeah, but
Get-
yeah. Yeah, I used to play music and we would do tours. I'd play in New York and stuff. So that did happen in New York of
Oh,
we did an all night gig and we were playing a tiki bar in where was that? At it was called the Shrunken Head. I don't know if you're from New York or anything. But
yeah,
yeah,
I'm familiar actually.
we
Yeah.
definitely we were playing over at Otto's Shrunken Head and then we got kebabs and definitely dropped it on the ground and there was no turning back.
I love that so much. Um, Tokyo, question for you. So you are my favorite thing about this movie. I think you were just absolutely wonderful in it. I think I love how we know very little about you in the way that the layers are just kind of peeled back in terms of your character. I think you do a masterful job of doing that, especially when we find out about your family. Um, Talk to me about. I know I keep asking, but like when you're reading the script, like was there something in particular that made you go like, okay, I need to go out for this. Like like what was your approach as some of these scenes because unlike Sam, we know more about Sam from the offset, but there's very much a lot of mystery to you. So how did you kind of go about portraying and portraying all that?
Hmm. Um, I had never same experience as Ayaka. Um, so,
That's
but
good.
yeah, so I needed to like read many like psychology books about the way how she how to say. So each of lines has her background and her personality. So I need to study about all of them, and then I could experience um the Ayaka's kind of history. Is it
What?
correct?
Yeah, yeah, no, 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 no.
Yeah.
No, that's good. Was there God, how do I want to ask this? Because I don't want to give it away, but when you're talking about your family, and
Mhm.
there's a moment where you actually cry, and that got me because that felt like a very
Mm,
natural. Like I was like, wow, okay. Were
mm.
you? It's gonna sound so cheesy, but like, did you pinch yourself to make yourself cry, or can you like cry on command like that? Like that was like 'cause that felt like such a natural like thing in the moment.
Oh,
Like how? Yeah, how were you able to do that? Like,
I was remembering like um to see that scene. I mean the his how do you say, like for her childhood.
mm,
When I talk about that to Sam, I was seeing that moment, that scene. Did you get that what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah, yeah.
So so it was I didn't push myself to cry, or like it's opposite. I didn't want to cry in front of like Sam. So but kind of like wanted to share about my Ayaka's history. So it was kind of, how do you say,
Yeah, some
freak?
friction. Yeah, like friction
Yeah,
between that.
friction. So yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I think it enhances the scene. I thought you did an incredible job with it. So, um, Reza, back to you, sir. So, with what happens with Sam and through his journey, one thing that's a huge peeve of mine is the work calls on vacation, and I really like the way that you you get slightly more annoyed each time it happens. Because like the first time you're kind of like, all right, whatever. But by like the third or fourth time, like I can just almost like you almost hear the character going like, God damn it! Like I I really like the way your facial expressions like convey that annoyance. Um, in terms of Sam, how do you kind of see him from an emotional perspective? Because I think what I found interesting, frustrating but interesting in a good way, is that I feel like with all these things that are happening with him, he's almost kind of pulling a Ned Flanders, where it feels like he's almost holding everything in to not just lose his shit. Like, is that how it read
Yes.
to you? Was that kind of how you approach Sam in terms of his emotions?
Yes, I feel like in the beginning of the movie, we see him being very wanting everything to go as planned. Maybe all his life, he's been living like that, and he's planned to, maybe marry his girlfriend. We never know that, but this is the first time maybe in his life that he's been confronted with adversity, and uh, he's having a hard time going with the flow and maybe accepting the change. And what you're describing here, where he finally gets annoyed and thinks it's okay to show his annoyance and actually be himself. Maybe that's the help of Ayaka, you know? Maybe that's because he's seeing the way Ayaka's seeing the world and the conversation they're having that night. And we never know, but maybe that night is changing his life and his perspective on life. And for some people, it might happen like in a night. For some people, it might be a process of like months. But yeah, I think for Sam, for sure, that night, that one night in Tokyo is a really important night of his life. His
Well
learning
said.
lesson.
I'm getting the wrap it up music, so I'll ask y'all one more quick question. Once audiences see this film, and I'll start with you. I'll start with you, Reza, since I got you here. Um, is there a message? What would you like audiences to take away from this film when the credits roll? And yeah, Reza, I'll start with you.
As an actor, I don't really have any message, or I don't want the audience to take away anything. I just want them to have fun, and watch the film without any filters and just take away whatever they take away. Just have a good fun. Have a good, time.
Fair. Tokyo, yeah, I'll throw it to you. Yeah, your last one there.
Yeah. So in the film festival, after the screening, there are a few people like sharing their personal story in Tokyo. Like they kind of had a similar experience as a two of Ayakane-san, and some of them like kind of cried and talking to us about their
Hmm.
story. It's so like a great feeling. And also there is one guy, he came to the screening like two times, and
Oh
he
wow.
watched the online screening also, and he really loved the One Night in Tokyo, this movie. And um, after that, he visited Tokyo and he went to the each of scenes.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah, so yeah, that I hope so. I hope people enjoy watching this movie and explore like real Tokyo. Yeah.
Great answer. And then Joshua, what
Mm.
about you?
Yeah, it's just it's hard to top that answer because that's such a great answer, and it's just it's really interesting just to at a screening because now we're not really in movie theaters. A lot of things people watch things at home, but when you do speak to people who have seen it and just how are they relating it to themselves, and so many different people see things differently. There's a lot of subtle things within the movie too, and I think that's it's just really interesting to see how that movie affects people and movies in general. How do they affect people differently? It's super cool, and it's just cool to see like when I've had a lot of people say like, "Oh, that it made me cry" or something like that. It's just interesting. It's cool. It's cool like to do something that you have an emotional effect that you're able to share with someone else.
Hmm, well said. Um, Thank you so much, the three of you. Before I let y'all go, if you could please let people know where they can watch the film, and then if you could please let people know your socials as well, so they can follow you. Joshua, I'll start with you.
Yeah, so the movie releases on Valentine's Day, and you can see it on Amazon. And there's other VOD outlets you can also see it at. And also our Instagram is at One Night in Tokyo Film. And I have both Toki and Reza can be found through that. If you go into the bio, you can get
Perfect.
direct links to everyone's socials.
Excellent. Seriously, again, the three of you, thank you so much for taking the time to talk with me tonight. I really appreciate it. Hope everyone loves the film. Hope y'all stay safe and are doing well. And again, thank you so much for your time.
Thank
Thank
you
you
so
for
Thank
having
you,
me.
much.
Hunter. Thank you so much.
All right, take care.
Too.